Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel Alternate History. In today's video we are going to talk about what if Europeans never colonized America? Before we start, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video. Let's get started. What if Europeans never colonized America? What if the colonies which Europe did place failed and Europe gave up ever expanding into the New World? What if the plague that wiped out 99% of the native population never struck? How would this have changed our world? Well, for one, the continents would look less like this and more like this. To understand what America would be like if colonies never carved up the land, we need to know the ethnic and tribal relations of the region. Today, people in the United States have a common misconception of Native Americans being one united group. This is far from the truth. French and Italians would be the same as associating everyone in Europe as the same, even though we have German. This is the same with Native America. If Europeans never colonized and invaded America, the native nations and tribes would continue to interact in trade. What we see as the New World would be extremely diverse, and the groups which live on the continent would become well-known peoples in the Old World. Thus the continent would look a lot like this. Globally, America would be seen as a different world, for a lack of better words. Eventually, trade with East Asia and Europe would introduce new technologies and animals into the continent, and tribes would quickly grow into nations. The tribes on the coast would be in contact with trading foreigners, and soon massive cities would grow on the Atlantic and Pacific coast. The coastal people grow rich, trading resources such as corn with the Old World. The Europeans would trade with the Eastern tribes, and the Chinese would trade with the Western tribes. This is basically the Columbian exchange without the disease and devastation. America would be split into many numerous cultures and languages, as well as unique religions which different people follow. California would be the most heavily populated region on the continent. 1/3 of the Native American population in what is now the U.S. lived in California. These tribes would grow and compete with one another in this resource-rich land, and the idea of California would be one of many different nations. The Great Plains tribes would remain nomadic, fighting off incursions from the Mississippi River nations and California. Odds or regions such as the Great Lakes would become of the most hotly contested areas of the world, with two rival nations, the Ottawa and the Iroquois, competing over the region. Smaller tribes would most likely be swallowed up by the creation of new nations, and tribes such as the Miami would become seen as minorities. Just as in Europe, Asia and Africa, people of America would compete among each other over religious, cultural and ethnic differences, using Asia and Europe as models. A couple of religions native to America could expand rapidly and divide the continent. Some nations could be loyal to one religion while others are loyal to another religion. This could change the entire history of the continent, as well as political situations on the continent. Empires and nations would rise and fall across America, just as they did in Europe and Asia, eventually forming into nation-states and interacting with each other today. The Native American people would never simply be lumped into one group, but would be differentiated between ethnicity, tribe and eventually nation. These native nations would compete in international politics and wars, perhaps even in a world war. The possibilities are endless with this scenario. What do you think would happen? Like us on Facebook. Subscribe if you have not done so. This is Sumit from the Alternate History. As it is an imaginative exercise, you would be welcome to add other alternatives. That's all for today, see you later.